Yo, what is going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the NBA slate on DraftKings for Monday, January 15th. Now, we do have two slates today. There is a 5-game early slate, I believe. I'm not going to be covering that slate. Going to be covering the 4-game slate at night, the 8 o'clock to 10:30 games, the 4 games at night, like I said. I'm sorry for no videos the past few days, guys. I just wasn't feeling that good Thursday night, and I wasn't able to make a video for Friday. And I usually don't upload on the weekends, but now the NFL's kind of come down to a close, I am gonna try and start uploading on the weekends. At least getting videos out for Saturdays, because I usually play NBA DFS every Saturday. Sometimes I don't on Sunday, depending on if there's football on. But like I said, with NFL pretty much over with, I'm gonna try and start getting videos out pretty much Monday through Sunday if I can, and just try and get as much content out as I can. But yeah, guys, before we get started looking at today's 4-game slate, if you guys could drop a like on the video, I would really appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for clicking on the video. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below, so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new videos. And if you turn on notifications, that will notify you every time I upload. So make sure you do those things. But yeah, guys, looking at point guard today on this 4-game slate, pretty loaded position for it to just be 4 games. We got Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, Steph Curry, even Lou Williams, Oladipo, all available at this position. If I'm going to pay up for a point guard today, if I'm just going to pay up for a stud in general, love Chris Paul on this slate with the revenge narrative going back to LA to face the Clippers. Revenge game, like I said, Chris Paul without James Harden, just been a usage monster lately, just been a very consistent fantasy producer. Even in their last game against Phoenix, he only put up 49 DraftKings points, and he only played 27 minutes in that game, but still put up 49 DK points. Just been playing so well with James Harden out. I've been getting a ton of assists, getting rebounds, getting points as well. Obviously a threat for a triple-double pretty much every night. With the revenge game, with that narrative intact as well, just love Chris Paul here. You can obviously play a guy like Steph Curry going up against Cleveland in that sort of that rivalry game. You could even pay up for Westbrook at home against the Kings. But Chris Paul, probably my favorite stud on this slate. It's going to definitely be between him and LeBron on who to pay up for. Obviously, if you can fit both, if we can find enough value and we can fit both, I think Chris Paul and LeBron are my 2 favorite studs on this slate. But if I have to just choose one, love Chris Paul today, love CP3 with the revenge game. Going back to face the Clippers, I think he's a great play, and he still feels a little bit a tad bit underpriced at just 10-3 with Harden off the court. But looking for other point guard options, you can obviously go to Lou Williams, who's been playing really well, even with Blake Griffin returning. But 8,900, I'm not sure if I'm going to pay that much for a guy like Lou Will or Oladipo when I can just get Paul or Curry, even Westbrook, just spend a little bit more and get up to them. So I don't think this mid-range is really where I'm going for point guard. I think you're either going to pay up here to some of the guys up top, the guys that are 10K and above, or I think you're just going to try and find some value plays. You can consider Teodosic as sort of a value option at 5,100. Going up against Houston, not the best matchup, seeing Chris Paul defensively. Paul a solid defender, but a fast-paced game. Teodosic, you need about 25 DraftKings points from him, just a little bit more than that, to return value, and he can definitely get there. Especially with the pace that this game is going to be played at, you just got to hope it stays competitive. So Teodosic, one of the value options I see at 5,100. Really the only value option I see at this position at point guard. At least guys that stand out to me looking at this slate the night before. I doubt any injuries are going to happen in the Pacers game on Sunday night. They are on a back-to-back. Obviously, if injuries happen in that game, I won't be able to cover those because I'm recording this video Sunday night before the Pacers play. But right now at point guard, the main value play I'm seeing here, pretty much Teodosic. Maybe if you want to go to Ricky Rubio or De'Aaron Fox, you could go there, but I don't think point guard's position we're trying to go cheap at today. I think we want to spend up here. Go for Chris Paul, go for Steph Curry. If you want to play Lou Will, I think he's fine, but Paul and Curry are the main guys I'm really looking at here at this position. So moving on to shooting guard, and talking about shooting guard, talking about plays that I haven't already mentioned. You got Eric Gordon in this mid-tier at 7,200. Klay Thompson also in this mid-tier as well. Obviously, Eric Gordon is a guy we have to consider when James Harden is off the court. But at 7,200, I don't think we really need to pay this much for him, especially if we want to play Paul. It's going to be really hard to fit in Paul or any stud of your choice and play Eric Gordon. You could probably play Gordon if you're not going to play Paul and you're going to play some of those mid-tier guys like Lou Will. You can play Gordon then. But if you're trying to fit in a 10K or above player, it's going to be hard to play EG. And at 7,200, I don't think he's a smash play by any means. He can obviously hit value on this price tag. He's been playing really well with Harden out. He's been scoring, obviously. He's been getting some assists as well. But I'm really only going to play him if just enough value opens up and I can fit him in with the studs that I want. I think a cheaper option that does make some sense is Klay Thompson at 6,400. He's in a great spot here going up against Cleveland. Not a very good defensive team, that the Warriors and Cavs had played this year. Klay Thompson did put up 37 DraftKings points, had a very solid game. We obviously know Klay is a great tournament play. I think at 6,400, we can definitely consider him in cash games at this price because you need about 30 DK points from him to return value on this salary, and he can get there, especially given the defensive matchup against a team that's bad at defending shooting guards. Like this spot for Klay Thompson, if you need to save a little salary off of Eric Gordon, if you can't fit in Gordon, you want to go a little bit cheaper, then Thompson does make sense for just 800 less than Gordon. But maybe trying to find value at shooting guard, if we need to save some salary here, you could play Teodosic at shooting guard for 5,100. I like him as a value option today. If you want to play Tyrone Wallace at 4,400, I know he did start one of their games a couple days ago, one of the Clippers games a couple days ago. He's been seeing consistent minutes lately. His last 3 games, 34, 37, 32 minutes, even with Blake returning. Wallace has seen nice minutes. Production's kind of been inconsistent, 40, 20, 18 DraftKings points. But as long as this guy's going to play 30-plus minutes, and as long as he's priced at just 4,400 for playing 30 minutes, I think you have to consider him as a value option today, especially because I think shooting guard is going to be a position we try and want to save some salary. So Tyrone Wallace at 4,400 is a value option I really like today if you're trying to go cheap. Also, you got Iguodala going up against the Cavs. Always like to target Iguodala when these teams face, or always like to target Iguodala when they're playing up against the Cavs because he usually plays plenty of minutes. They need his defense on LeBron. He only played 24 minutes in the one time they faced this year, 19.5 DraftKings points. DraftKings does have Iggy listed as questionable right now as I'm recording this Sunday night, but it looks like he is expected to play. He is probable. If you need to save salary at shooting guard, I prefer Tyrone Wallace for just a little bit more, but Iguodala, he's small forward eligible as well. You can play him there. I like him as a value option as well today, just 4,100. But that's really what I'm seeing at shooting guard for value plays, at least the options that stand out to me on this slate. So moving on to small forward, you got LeBron and KD up top here going up against each other. Like I said at the beginning, I think Chris Paul and LeBron are my 2 favorite studs. Chris Paul being number 1 for me. If I can fit in him and LeBron, I'm definitely going to try and do that. I feel like these are the kind of games we want to take LeBron when he's going up against big-time opponents like the Warriors. Didn't play that well at all against them on Christmas Day. Only put up 34 DraftKings points, but he did play 40 minutes. It was a competitive game. You would think this game is going to be competitive as well. It is being played in Cleveland, which should help. Right now I have Paul ranked ahead of LeBron if we're talking point per dollar and if we're talking about favorite studs. But if enough value opens up and I can find a good roster that I like with LeBron and Chris Paul today, definitely going to try and do that. If you don't want to pay up for LeBron, you could save salary a little bit, $1,300 cheaper, and go down to Kevin Durant in that same game. He did play pretty well against the Cavs on Christmas Day, putting up 51 DraftKings points in 36 minutes. Obviously, Steph Curry, I believe he was out for that game. But as long as Durant is priced under 10K, I think we can consider him, especially in a big-time game like this, going up against LeBron. But definitely prefer LeBron over him. If you can find the salary to fit in LBJ, I think he's the preferred option. But KD does make sense as long as he's priced under 10K, even with Curry returning. I think we can definitely play him. Right now, just looking at small forward, I don't think I'm going to the mid-tier here. If I'm not playing LeBron, or if I'm not playing LeBron or KD, I don't think I'm going to be on like PG or Carmelo. Just try and find some value at small forward, try and save some money here. You can play someone like Tyrone Wallace at 4,400. You could play Trevor Ariza at 5K. He's got a really nice price tag on him. We know he is going to play a ton of minutes, has to really step up with James Harden off the court. Has been scoring the ball well lately. In his last 4 games, he has 3 of his last 4 with over 15 points. And 3 of his last 4 games, he's got over 22 DraftKings points with the game in there against the Bulls where he put up 43. So just 5K. Looking for small forward value. I think we do want to go cheap here if we're not playing LeBron or KD. The options that really stand out to me for value are definitely Tyrone Wallace, Trevor Ariza, Iggy you can play here as well at small forward. If you want to take a flyer on somebody like Jay Crowder, I think that does make sense. He did play nice minutes against this team earlier this year on Christmas Day. Crowder did play 28 minutes and put up 26 DraftKings points. He is one of their better defenders. Obviously, he's one of the Cavs' better defenders. They're going to need his defense to guard KD. When LeBron's not on KD, they will use Crowder to defend him. Crowder is a risky play, but he's only 3,800. And for him to hit value, you only need about 20 DraftKings points. And I think Crowder, it's likely that he gets there. So if you're just trying to find a stone punt and you just need to save a ton of salary, Jay Crowder at 3,800 in a matchup against the Warriors, I think he does make sense as a cheap value option. But moving on to power forward. Looking at power forward today, we do have good plays in this mid-tier, but I think it's going to be really hard to play some of these guys if we want to pay for Chris Paul, if we want to play LeBron. It's going to be hard to play guys like Draymond Green, Kevin Love, even Sabonis. But if you aren't going to pay up for any studs and you're going to sort of build a balanced lineup, then it obviously makes sense to consider some of these guys, especially Draymond Green at just 7,700 against the Cavs. He always plays well in these games. It seemed like Draymond against the Cavs on Christmas Day put up 53 DraftKings points and played 40 minutes, had a triple-double in that game. As long as Draymond's priced under 8K, he is always a guy I'd like to consider, especially in this matchup. He always plays well against the Cavs, like I said, really gets up for these games. In that mid-tier, I think Draymond Green's my favorite option at power forward. If you're not going to pay up for a stud, or even if you can play someone like Chris Paul and you can fit in Draymond, I think that does make a ton of sense. If I can fit in Sabonis today, that is something I'm going to be trying to do. With Miles Turner out, it looks like he's going to be out for 2 more games. Sabonis should continue to be in the starting lineup, should continue to see plenty of minutes. And when this guy gets minutes, he will produce for you. He's been very consistent in his last 4 games. Obviously, he does have some duds in there. 24 DK points against Miami, just 29 against the Bulls, but 36 against Milwaukee, 37 against Cleveland. Very consistent player, can definitely hit 6X on this price tag. With Turner out of the lineup and Sabonis starting, I think he makes sense in that mid-tier if you want to go there. Like I said, going to be really hard to play some of these guys if we want to play some of the studs, but if you find value plays, you can fit in some guys in this mid-tier. Draymond and Sabonis are 2 options that I really like. And then maybe trying to find value at power forward, and we're looking to go cheap here. You got Montrezl Harrell as a value option at just under 5K. He's actually been pretty consistent lately. The minutes haven't been insanely high. His last 3 games, he played 26, 27, 22 minutes, 22, 33, 31 DraftKings points. I'm not sure if we want to go there in cash since he's not going to be playing like 25, 30 minutes. With Blake Griffin returning, that has obviously hurt Harrell, but it looks like DeAndre Jordan did miss a game, so that should increase Harrell's minutes if Jordan is out today. Harrell does look like a value option we could go to if we're looking to go sub 5K. You also got Ryan Anderson at that same price tag playing on the road today. Always like to target Ryan Anderson on the road. Him and Harrell are 2 value options I see at power forward. They're 5K and under. And like I said earlier, I think Jay Crowder as sort of a punt play does make sense. You can play him at power forward. I like him if you're trying to go cheap here, 3,800. But moving on to center, looking at center today, we do have good plays up top here, like Blake Griffin going up against the Rockets. Love that spot for Blake. Just don't know if I'm going to be able to play him since I'm really trying to fit in Paul and LeBron today. It's going to be really hard to fit Paul and LeBron in with Blake Griffin just because Blake's 9,100. But like I said earlier, if you're not paying up for some of the 10K studs, Blake Griffin for tournaments, I feel like he's going to be sort of low owned here, especially priced at 9,100. In a great matchup against Houston. But I think center today is a position we can go to for value or just look to the mid-tier. In the mid-tier, you obviously have like Draymond Green here, who I really like today if you can fit him in. Even if you want to go to Sabonis in this mid-tier. Steven Adams against the Kings. We know the Kings are bad at defending bigs. Adams just 6,200. I prefer Sabonis for just 200 more. But if you're playing Sabonis at power forward and you're going to the mid-tier center as well, then Steven Adams is a guy I really like. But like I said, center is a position I think we can find some cheap plays. Willie Cauley-Stein in tournaments, really like him today at just 5,700. He's seeing very consistent minutes lately. He's been in the starting lineup. His last 4 games, WCS has played 30, 28, 23, and 33 minutes. And he's shown some upside. Obviously, he has some duds in there, but did put up 50 drafting points their last game against the Clippers, 31 against San Antonio. He's priced under 6K. So I like Willie Cauley-Stein if you need sort of a salary saver and you can't pay up at center. 5,700, I think he's a good play. And one value play that really stands out to me as center is Willie Reed at 4,300 in a matchup against the Rockets. Love Willie Reed here if we're looking for a value play with DeAndre Jordan questionable for this game. If he misses, that is going to open up Willie Reed as a cheap option we can go to. He did play 26 minutes in their last game against the Kings with DJ out and put up 42 DraftKings points, 14 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals. Just an all-around good game from Willie Reed. So if DJ is confirmed out before lock, we get that news before lock. Willie Reed, if you're looking for a salary saver at center, obviously he makes a ton of sense. But that's really what I'm seeing at center today, guys. I think that's pretty much it for this position. I think that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I do really appreciate it. Make sure you drop a like on the video if you haven't already. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, make sure you do that as well. I'm going to try and get back to the daily uploads, getting videos out at least Monday through Friday, trying to get some weekend videos out as well. So you're going to want to make sure you're subscribed so that way you'll never miss out on any of my new uploads. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck on this slate, guys. Peace.